Welcome to another week of the A2theK Wrestling Show. What have you got in store this week?
Well, I'll tell you what we've got in store, Carl. We have the Ringside Report. We have This Week in Wrestling. And then we also have, for our unique segment, Carl, we have another Superstar Spotlight. We're decided we're going to talk about CM Punk this week because obviously there's a lot of interest on him maybe turning up in AEW. So we'll have a talk about why that's possibly a good thing or a bad thing. Depends on your perspective on it. But
it does.
That's a fun conversation for a later segment. But before we get into all that, Carl, there's something we have to do. Is there not?
Of course, there is. We have to throw it over to Road Dogg himself for A2theK's little-known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Road Dogg. Now, of course, as you said, we're going to be talking about CM Punk this week and what joining AEW could mean for both him and the company. But did you know he wasn't always the big star that he is today, Anthony? In fact, he actually appeared as an extra at WrestleMania 22 as part of none other than John Cena's entrance. During WrestleMania 22, Cena chose the old-school gangster-style theme for his entrance, and CM Punk can be seen quite clearly riding on the outside of the gangster car, wearing a little trilby hat and wielding a Tommy gun, as you do. So, yeah, little did we all know, I guess, that 5 years later, that guy hanging onto that car would go on to be main eventing with John Cena and running away with the WWE title. So
crazy, innit? Swapping them Tommy guns for pipe bombs. Unreal.
Oh, I like it. But yeah, maybe it's not that, maybe it's not little known. Maybe a lot of people know it at this point. But, if you didn't, now you do, and go and check it out. But we'll pass it back over to Road Dogg to sing us out after A2theK's little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Boom. Boom. So, this week in wrestling, Anthony.
Let's do it.
This week in wrestling.
So naturally, everyone's used to the new format with any luck now. So we're going to talk WWE as a whole. We're going to talk AEW as a whole, and then we're going to talk all the other ones. Right. So we'll start with WWE, Carl.
All of the other ones.
And I'll let you kick it off.
So firstly, highlights, of course. Miz can walk. It's a miracle. I'm sure we're all just praising the Lord right now. Look, this was stupid, wasn't it? But in the best way possible. The Miz, obviously, I'm a big fan. I think we're both big fans of him. Big fans of him on the show.
I mean, I think him and Morrison have they've been a little bit up and down with things. I was never a fan of the program they had with Otis. That was largely due to the fact they had a program with Otis, I suppose. But yeah, like you say, they either hit it out of the park or it doesn't work too well. But they're always entertaining.
Well, exactly. And obviously, The Miz, since his knee injury at the hands of Damian Priest in the zombie event that we choose not to speak about, he's been going around in a little wheelchair since he's been back. But obviously, as Damian Priest was about to get him this week, he stood up, realised what he'd done, and basically legged it out of the arena. So, WWE does do a lot of stuff, comedy that doesn't really land and falls quite flat. This one for me gets a highlight because I was thoroughly sports entertained.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Another one that may be a controversial highlight, Carl, the next one I'd bring to you is Elias's gimmick change, or what looks to be a gimmick change for Elias. And I'm going to call it a highlight because I think it's kind of long overdue, to be honest with you. I think he's kind of hindered by his own gimmick at this point. I'm a little bit worried where they're going to go with it, but okay, I'm going to call it a highlight for now. I think it's definitely a good shout.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of mystique as well, doesn't it, to his character, the way they did it, tossing the guitar into the fire. Like, what does it mean? Obviously, he's had these feuds with Jackson
Riker.
Riker.
With a keyboard now. Yeah.
Oh, don't to be a guitar. Got rid of the guitar for a guitar. Nice. But yeah, obviously he's had the whole walk with Elias thing for quite some time. So yeah, I think it's definitely, I don't know, it's something different, isn't it? It's almost like a vignette in a sense, but one which kind of is compelling, and you think, what is next? What is next? He didn't throw fireworks
Camping.
in there, did he? Shit.
Camping with Elias.
Yeah, s'mores with Elias. So another highlight to talk about this week: Randy Orton is back, and so are RK Bro. Or so we thought, bro. So look, these two, always get praise from me. I think it's a sea of freshness in what is a turbulent, stale Monday Night Raw. But whenever these two get together, it's always kind of a lot of fun. And Orton was back. They were in the main event of the show, I believe. And then just when you think they've best friends and stuff like that, Orton hits him with an RKO out of nowhere, as he was going to do, because he's Randy Orton. But that doesn't mean he's turned on him. It's just what Orton does. And it was good, and it gets a thumbs up from me.
A thumbs up from Carl. What more can you ask for? So, Carl, now, obviously, we're in a more condensed format now, so I'm not going to talk about all of NXT if it doesn't need talking about. And you're going to notice that massively this week. My next one is the only highlight I'm going to give NXT. That's not to say NXT was bad. That is just to say that everything else was just kind of there. Like, it's all driving towards TakeOver, and it was fine. But highlight for me this week, Carl, the next one I want to bring to you, coming from NXT, is Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez. Again, the build this week has been fantastic. Dakota Kai is looking like a genuine threat to Raquel, and I can't wait to see their match at TakeOver. So I just wanted to give it, yet again, another shout, because I think it has probably been, for me, and I don't care what you all say, it's probably been the best built. Like, you can turn around and go, oh, Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly again. No, I'm sorry. This has been the best built so far. Admittedly, yeah, I don't mind. I'm looking forward to Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe, but that's been built rather short term, and we keep seeing him on Raw, which kind of, I don't know, ruins the mystique a little. But this one, fantastically built, and again, more than impressed with it this week. And yeah, could Dakota Kai walk out with the title? Just who fucking knows?
I mean, yeah, I will agree with you. That is the only match I'm looking forward to at TakeOver. Couldn't even care about Karrion and Samoa Joe. That's just my thoughts, but agree, that was the bright spot on a very dull NXT. But interestingly, we only have one highlight from SmackDown as well this week. And it is, of course, the Cena Roman segment kicking off the show. It's so good, man. Like, this is what WWE is about. This is what they do so well. It's not Attitude Era. It's not, it just gets you involved, and just you really want to see it. It's gripping. They were just kind of, it seemed unscripted. It probably was to some degree. But like, obviously Roman was in there with the whole missionary stuff and the Nikki Bella thing, and then Cena was coming back with all this kind of stuff, and his soap bars, his teeth, and you're just there going, oh, and it's like,
I think that's the thing. Like, this is a clear sign that, like you say, they feel less scripted, but it feels like they've both just subtly at some point give each other the nod to just go for each other, and I think it makes it so much more personal, and it makes you invested in the coming match. Like, and I like, this is all we need. We don't want fucking Balor, none of that shit. This is what we need right here.
No, it's true. I think we saw similar stuff, didn't we, with Rock and Cena, back in the day, and you could see that they were like hitting a nerve with each other, almost to the point where
they've done interviews since where The Rock even points out that like he like Cena hit a nerve, like he did hit a nerve, and it made him fire back, and you can see that bit where he gets a little bit more fiery, and he was like, that was genuine, like, because he didn't know what he was going to say, and he reacted naturally, kind of thing. And I think that is, in some ways, that's kind of what you need, because you can tell when something's heavily scripted.
Yeah, no, you definitely can. And I think this harpers back as well to the last time that these two kind of had, a war of words on the microphone, where Cena basically told him that, it's a promo, kid, you're going to have to learn how to do them if you want to, call yourself the big dog. And it was like, oh, shit.
But it's like this again, like Cena alluding to the fact that he's been like massively protected, like echoing the same thoughts that the fan base has had for so long. Like, what a wise way to go with it. I'm not going to make the comparison because people will fucking lynch me for it, but it's almost similar to when Punk was dropping pipe bombs left and right, and he's echoing the frustration of the fans. It's like Cena was kind of trying to go for a bit of that with some of the stuff he was saying to Roman, and I'm like, that's what makes that sort of stuff helps. We end up getting more invested because we're like, yeah, he fucking has actually.
No, definitely. It was definitely the brightest. It might have even been the best part of the week for WWE for me. This opening promo. Just a shame that there wasn't a lot of other stuff on SmackDown to shine through.
To be honest, it might be a controversial thought, but I've said it for a long time. They're the only thing that makes SmackDown good. If you look at everything else, there, maybe the women's title scene's decent, especially now Sasha's back. But if you look at everything else there, it's not great.
Well, that sounds like a perfect segue to talk about the O'Shites, Anthony. Do you want to tell us about one on SmackDown?
Yeah, my first reason that I think SmackDown's not as good as it maybe pretends it is, right? Because they've got one fantastic thing, but what's really fucking dire at the moment, Carl, and I think you'll totally agree with me on this, is the Intercontinental scene title. Yeah, that one. Right?
That one, yeah.
The IC title was on the line this week. Shinsuke Nakamura against Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews had a fantastic run with the IC title, wouldn't you agree, Carl?
Totally.
Yeah. Shinsuke has now took the title off him on a random match of SmackDown, just because, fuck it, why not? And that so ends the reign of Apollo Crews. And it's like, well, that was a bit of a damp squib. Also, I don't get why Apollo has to have his bodyguard, and then Shinsuke's got Rick Boogs. Who is he a bodyguard or just like a hype man? Because he comes out like I don't know. But I'm just like, well, why do you all have to have people too? Just such a wasted scene at the moment, and I don't care that Shinsuke's got it, and I don't care who he's going to face. I'll be honest with you. There's no one in the mid card who I actually even give a shit about at this point.
That is the problem. It's like the IC title just doesn't have any prestige anymore, so it's been held by that many people. You just kind of like, eh.
Balor could have helped this. Balor could have come along and gone for the IC title, but he fucking didn't. It was straight main event, wasn't it? That's what he's entitled to. And yeah, a lot of people will be like, oh, he's a main event guy, he's a star, blah blah blah. But like, it's the IC title scene that needed an injection of something.
But it's like
the title scene was doing fine.
But it's like they brought him up for that, and he was involved, and then he isn't getting the match, and it's like, now what? Now what with him? Like,
exactly.
He should be doing something like this now because he's doing fuck all else, really. So,
and you could argue that it could potentially be a banger of a match, Finn Balor versus Shinsuke, but so far there's no build for it, and it shows that he's not interested in the IC title scene. I don't know. I don't get it. That's where he should have gone straight away, mainly because we already had the match in the pipeline that we wanted: John Cena versus Roman Reigns. Finn Balor just muddied the waters. There was no point to it.
Yeah, like it wouldn't, legit wouldn't surprise me if this is the match we get at SummerSlam, is, them two for the IC title, but it gets one fucking episode of SmackDown as a build. Hopefully that won't be the case, because I think as good of a match it would be with these two, I think it does deserve more build, as you said. So,
I mean, when you look at long-term storytelling in the Universal title scene, why wouldn't you want to do the same with the IC title? Because we're so hyped for that match. Like, why not give us a little bit of hype for this one?
Exactly. And speaking of hype, I'll tell you someone who I don't have any hype for, Anthony, is Bobby Lashley. Has there been a more dull, boring champion in recent memory? Like, I can't think of one.
Bear with me. Goldberg.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at least he had fucking the name, right? I just don't get it, man. Like, the stuff with him and Drew, and like, there was a point in time where Lashley had the hair business and it all made sense, and he was starting to emerge as this kind of like, okay, he deserves it. Hair business disbanded, he's still got MVP, he's boring, he's stale, he brings nothing to the table, and this week on Raw he was just there on the microphone like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you, Goldberg. I was just like, oh, who cares? How can you're bringing Goldberg back?
Like, probably.
Yeah, it's like you bring.
Man.
well, yeah, there is that. But like, you bring Goldberg back, and you're meant to bring him back for these kind of spectacle matches, aren't you? Now, don't get me wrong. We know the ones he's been brought back for haven't exactly been amazing. Him and Taker at the Saudi show wasn't great. Him and Braun wasn't great.
I'm not gonna lie to myself and say that he's not a draw. Like, he's clearly a draw. People know the name Goldberg. But I just look at the way he's been booked, and you go, well, last time he was out, it was against Drew McIntyre, and he ended the match like, I'm exhausted, I'm done. Just leave me alone, Drew. And Bobby has obviously been a formidable opponent for Drew, so why are we meant to believe there's going to be any risk at all?
Yeah.
And if Goldberg walks out with that title, I'm going to be so pissed off.
Which probably means exactly that, Anthony, is that it will be the massive swerve. It'll be the Kevin Owens, the Fiend, all that kind of treatment where he gets absolutely nailed for it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't care about it. I don't care about Bobby, which is he just hasn't got the charisma needed to be the main event guy, unfortunately.
I was all for it when he won it, and with the hair business behind him and MVP speaking for him, I was all for it, and he just seems to have fucked every part of that up.
Yeah,
which is such a shame.
As is tradition.
As is tradition. So, Carl, next one. This is more out of fear that it's an shite, and that is the fact that we saw Baron Corbin steal the Money in the Bank briefcase. And now I imagine they're leading this to a possible feud with Big E, so there's something for Big E to do while nobody's wanting to fight him for the title. But when you go, last year we had the title in jeopardy because of the Miz. I just really don't want that again. Like, if they even suggest that the briefcase is going to be on the line, is this going to be a new thing they do all the time? It's ruining the Money in the Bank for me if you can just take the case off people. I don't know. It does me head in.
Well, it's funny because Lance Storm, who knows a thing or two about wrestling, he tweeted earlier today saying that the Money in the Bank is at jeopardy of just turning into the 24/7 title. If this is allowed and he's just stole it now and he owns it and he can cash it in, like, where's the barrier? Like, what's the boundaries there for it?
Honestly, right? You know what I'd love, right? And I think it'd even add to what they're doing with Corbin at the minute. If he thinks he's done something by stealing it, and you have like DeVille and what's his name, Pierce, being like, yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
like it's still his. It doesn't work like that, Corbin. All you've got is a case, like, and then he's just sad sack again. That would work for the whole storyline, but I just that they're going to put the fucking case on the line. It's just I worry for it. So right now this is a preemptive shite because I feel like this is where we're going, and I don't want it. Yeah,
no, I'll agree with you on that. The next one to talk about is Karrion Kross. So he came up to the main roster, he lost, and then he's been winning pretty much every week since, which is cool.
Winning.
Except, again, maybe I've just got a problem with this, but he's a boring bastard. So,
everything interesting about him is not with him.
Yeah, and that everything interesting is fucking Scarlett Bordeaux, right? He is such a vanilla fucking no charisma dude. Like, I just don't get it. What is it with, like, why did they love them? You got fucking Bobby Lashley as the champ. Karrion Kross has come over and he's just like, I've got an
Karrion's
hourglass.
got the look. Karrion's got the menacing look, right? But Scarlett is clearly his hype man, as it were. In the same way that Bobby needs one, Karrion definitely needs one. Without Scarlett, he's got no hype because she's the one who builds him up as like this just intimidating figure. How impactful was it, right, when he was on NXT, and I think it might have been Balor or it might have even been Adam Cole at the time. No sign of Karrion at all. Scarlett comes out and leaves the hourglass there, so they know their time's up and he's coming for them. That was so much more impactful than anything Karrion does by himself.
Well, exactly. Like, imagine that now. He comes out with the fucking hourglass and he's like,
I'm just going to put this here. I'm going to get you later.
Do you know what I mean? And it was like, the fucking, the like pre-match interview thing was awful. He was just there like, yeah, well, time is up for you. Hourglass. And it was just like, why are you doing, man? What are you doing?
It's like, TikTok.
Yeah, scrolling them TikToks. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like Scarlett was Karrion.
Wee, I like that. And I'm definitely Bordeaux of him.
Quality stuff, Carl. Right, my next one, Carl. No surprise, and I'll be brief because I have sort of mentioned it before. It's the fact that Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, number 3, is even trying to be hyped. Let's face it, I was never a fan of these two anyway in a feud, but this is the worst of the 3. Anyway, like, it's not as good. It's lost the whatever mystique it did have in the first place. The first time they faced off for me was arguably the best time. Didn't need it anymore after that. The fact that we're going for number 3 now and we're meant to actually be hyped up about it, no, it's no shite for me, I'm afraid. Yeah,
agreed. Who cares at this point? We've seen it all before. Next on the shite list is just I feel like I say it every week. The whole fucking Eva Marie, just in general, here on her own. But Eva, Doudrop, Lily, not so much Alexa Bliss. She's doing the best of what she has. But my God, is it bad? Like, the whole point this week was you had Piper. Doudrop taking on. Can't call her Piper. We had Doudrop taking on Alexa Bliss, and then Lily was in the corner, and they legitimately pre-filmed a really close in of Lily's face winking, and that caused a big distraction. And then Alexa got the win, and it's like, Does Alexa
cringe.
need that? Does Alexa need a distraction? She apparently has superpowers, right? So it's like, come on, like what,
Yeah.
like what? At this point, what is it? Where's the line? Like, with someone like the Undertaker or something like that, they never made out like he could win a match with his superpowers and stuff like that. That was never a thing. Alexa has won matches with superpowers, so it's kind of like, well, you've said that.
Yeah, I never really looked at it like that.
So maybe she doesn't need to do any of this bullshit, and she can just, she can hypnotize people and everything, can't she? So
Mark
what?
my words,
Yeah.
at some point, Lily's going to pin someone.
Oh God, it's gonna happen. It's like, hopefully it's Eve Marie and not fucking Doudrop, because
I
no coming back
think
from it.
we're building up to the Dewdrop 10. I think she's going to end up joining Twisted Bliss.
I mean, there was definitely good energy between the two of them when they were in that little segment a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I don't know.
That's the annoying thing. Like, no offense to Eve Marie, but like, there's something between them two. Eva's just kind of in the way now.
I mean, and it's one of them as well. Eva has no ability in the slightest in the ring or anywhere else. But
Well, if she has, she's fucking hiding it.
well, yeah, but by all accounts, she is a good heel because we fucking hate her, and that is her job.
Yeah, that's
so
a fair point. Yeah.
I think she's just a natural. She's a natural heel, whether she knows it or not. But yeah, so that's a no shite.
Okay, my next one, Carl, and my last one for WWE. Nikki Cross going up against Rhea Ripley. Not a problem with the match itself. I've got a problem with the inclusion of Charlotte again. I would have much preferred we just had this match. However it ended, whatever, would have been fine with it. But the fact that Charlotte had to get involved, I'm like, can't you just? We get it. There's going to be a triple threat. Just let it go, man.
Yeah, like I think we made that joke, didn't we? Like many months ago, of like Charlotte's even appearing on Dynamite at this point because she has to be fucking everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And this is another example. Like, you can't have a single match around the title without her getting involved in some way.
Exactly. And, absence makes the heart grow fonder at the end of the day. Like, she doesn't have to be there all the time. They could have had this match without her, and we would have still been fine with her being in the triple threat that's inevitably happening for SummerSlam. I assume it's on the card by now. It's on the card by now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So,
why not? Probably.
Probably.
But yeah, I think that is justified. And the last one to talk about in terms of O'Shites this week in WWE, it's just a small thing I noted really from SmackDown, is that why does Sasha need to bring in Zelina Vega and Carmella? For me, this reeked of like Team Bad vibes from like a couple of years ago, where Sasha aligned herself, who even with Naomi and Tamina or something, was it at the time? I can't even remember, and it was just like, why is this happening? Like,
why?
Yeah, like, Sasha doesn't need to align herself with these, like, these people. She has proven herself a formidable champion with these people.
Mid-carders.
Well, exactly. She's proven herself a fucking formidable champion over many years, and she gets beat by fucking Bianca Belair, who has been a bit of a fucking boring champion. Let's be honest. And then now she comes back and she needs these in a corner to some degree. It's like, yeah, I don't get it. It sold WrestleMania itself with Sasha and Bianca, and now you just don't need these to be a part of it.
It makes me feel like they're actually even slightly worried about a rematch. Like, it's not going to have the same draw, so let's make something different of it. Why they go for this, I don't know, but like, it's the only thing I can think, because I would be all for a rematch of Cena 2. The first one was decent, but here we are.
Here we are. So, WWE, Anthony, what would you rate the whole of the product for this week?
I was very tempted to give it a 3, but I can't, because honestly, like you say, the best thing and probably the most reasonably good thing was the opener to SmackDown with Cena and Roman, and because that is probably the only thing really. Obviously, there were other highlights, but the main thing I'm getting out of it, I'm probably gonna have to give it a 2, based solely on that as well.
Completely agree. It gets a 2 from me. I think there was a couple of bright spots, but overall it just felt really mundane. And if you think we are on the road to SummerSlam, which they've been billing as, on the same level as WrestleMania, for example, maybe from a card perspective, it's looking okay. It could be better, I'm not going to lie. But, the build, and obviously this isn't the Go Home show. The Go Home show happened yesterday, which we'll obviously speak about in a couple of days. Raw, that is. But
Yeah, because we need every go home show and then we'll talk about them. But
well, yeah, but yeah, for me, this is the two, and like the standout moment of this was the Roman Cena stuff, and that is
Definitely.
what is selling SummerSlam for me. Is that one match by itself?
Totally agree.
So let's pivot over to AEW. In terms of highlights, the first one I want to talk about, Anthony. The first one is.
I think before you do that, I think it's worth a mention. This is probably the first week, Carl, that we've got more than just Dynamite to talk about as well.
Oh, it is. We had Rampage debut, and spoilers. Yeah, that was the highlight. But we'll get to that. So, firstly, Dante Martin, right? Kid, 20 years old, right? He's a fucking star, right? I'm not even kidding. This guy, oh my God, he managed to, at 20 years old, not even a single star, but as a singles competitor in this fucking match, managed to get the whole crowd on his side. He had probably around a 2.5 minute segment that was just dedicated to him, of fucking jumping out the ring, jumping in the ring, jumping off things, killing everyone. And it was just like, holy shit. Like, who is this guy? And like, we've seen him before a couple of times. La, 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 la. But like, we've seen him a couple of times before, and I've always spoke favorably of him. But oh my God, like, he has arrived with this. Like, this moment right now, you're going to look back and go, holy shit, this guy. It was like better, but it was like better than Darby. Like, as it was a whole kind of.
I mean,
yeah, we know right then. We know your feelings. But it was like, a whole 2-minute segment where you were just on the edge of your seat, just going, holy shit, this guy's just decimating everybody. And yeah, I loved it, loved every second of it, and I'm proud, for him as well, just to not only get that spotlight, but just fucking absolutely shine in that role as well. So massive props to Dante Martin.
Boss shout out that car, like it. So my highlight for AEW this week, Carl, be the combination of Omega, Don Callis, and Christian. So obviously we saw Omega and Christian go up against one another for the title, for the TNA titles, or the Impact and TNA title, whatever you want to call it. And what a fucking banger of a match we had. What chemistry we had. And all round, I think, especially since all the stuff we found out, which we'll talk about in the Ringside Report, we saw Christian take the win, and I think ultimately it was the right choice. And that chair shot as well. What a fucking...
it was
I've seen stills
savage,
of that, and there was no hiding that. Like, Omega's head just bounced off that fucking chair. Insane.
Yeah,
but hell of a match, and boy, these guys work well together.
I
hope this isn't the last time we see them face off, to be honest with you.
I mean, to be honest, that's the first time I've ever seen them face off. So if it
is for me, I don't know if they ever have before.
Like, if they have, then okay, fair play. But if they haven't, like, holy shit, to have that chemistry in one match was amazing, to be fair. But I loved all the stuff leading up to it with the announcement, and the fact that it was like Christian was like, well, yeah, I'm going to compete for your Impact title as well as your AEW title, and the way they were all kind of shit in the bed and stuff, like, all of it was fantastic. And as you said, the match itself, the finish, the drama on Rampage was excellent. So massive highlights all around.
Indeed.
The next one, I'm feeling pretty peckish, Anthony. I think I might need to eat some humble pie here, because
can I have some?
Malachi Black, man. Malachi Black. Holy shit.
I'm in the same boat as you. I did not like him in WWE.
Might have been a little bit wrong, maybe slightly. Mm-hmm. Everyone else seemed to see this way in advance. I just couldn't.
But we're old and we take longer.
We do. But no, like holy shit. Like, obviously we saw that match the previous week, him and Cody, where I mentioned last week it was like flawless victory. Like, he twatted him, didn't he, basically? And then this week it was just simple, effective, short promo. He was just there, fucking coming out saying, fucking... I can't remember what he said. It was something like, you realise you've been speaking to God. So it was sort of like all this fucking mysterious guy, but you're just like, okay, he can talk. So I've obviously been completely just disregarding that aspect. Is it? I still maintain he does too many spinny kicks. He still does too many spinny kicks. But yeah, I might be a bit wrong. Right? A little bit wrong.
I think the issue with the spinny kick, and this, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, Carl. Don't be wrong. It's probably a devastating kick if you get hit by it, like, legit. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like the right move for his character. I feel like he needs something more of a slam, something more impactful. Like,
Yeah, just something more vicious. I think even if it was just like
I think
a
that's
straight
the thing.
kick.
It doesn't feel vicious enough. Yeah.
Yeah, like if it was just like a full up, like almost like a curb stomp, or just a
Because that's the
fucking.
thing. Because he's coming out like the Undertaker, like intimidating, mysterious type character. Can you imagine the Undertaker being all acrobatic and doing a spinny kick? It just
Well,
wouldn't
yeah,
feel right on him, and I think that's the same thing, isn't it? It just doesn't feel right on the character for
yeah.
me.
I mean, fair play and shout out to Cody because he sold it like an absolute fucking
Oh
champion
yeah, without a doubt.
last week. But yeah, like by and far, like when he made his debut and he did it to Arn Anderson, I was just kind of like, eh. So he could.
Honestly, if the AEW game comes out right and I just can't button bash that spin kick my way to the fucking title, I'm going to be so good. I want like a Street Fighter, no, a Tekken levels of button bashing with Malachi Black, and I'm just spin kick, spin kick, spin kick.
Yeah.
I want it to be like Liu Kang's fucking back kick. That's what I want it to be like in that game.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah. So yeah, humble pie all around. I think we were wrong. Fair play to Malachi Black. He's looking like he's a bona fide star in AEW.
Indeed. Now I'm going to need your help with this next one, Carl, because I'm super professional and Carl wrote me notes.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to cover this one for me, Carl. So we've got the note was Cutler, and that was all balls. So you're going to have to tell me what that was, because this is something I have obviously missed.
I am. So this is me just being an absolute fucking child, basically. So there was a segment backstage, the Young Bucks cutting an interview. Obviously, they're still maintaining this little basketball thing from the week before, where they were obviously promoting the Looney Tunes film.
Oh, yeah.
And basically they're there, and they go up to it's like it's easy as a layup, and he goes to do it, and just out of nowhere Luchasaurus just comes and fucking blocks him, and he's just like, not in my house. I don't know why, I literally was like cry laughing just watching it. I just thought it was just so funny. So yeah, stupid, small. That's probably why you're like, what the fuck is this? Because my sense of humor is pathetic. But yeah, hilarious all around.
Well, thanks for the support there, Carl. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. But I'll round it off for the highlights, which is a bit of a cop out on my part, but at the same time, all true, and that is all of Rampage. As you said,
I think that's fair. Like, I think it needs mentioning. This was its debut, and they hit it out of the fucking park. It's got to be a highlight as a whole.
Right. This isn't a reach. This isn't an overstep. Right. This is the best single hour of professional wrestling I've seen in a long, long time, right?
No, that's the statement right there.
Honestly, as an hour of, you've got 1 hour, go and deliver, best thing I've seen in a long time. It was just, it had everything. The opening match was fucking fantastic. Christian Cage, Kenny Omega, the fucking drama that went along with it, the finish, the title change, straight away you're just like, holy shit. Then Fuego del Sol against Miro. He fucking batters Miro, and you're like, oh my god, is he going to win the TNT? Like, surely not. And then it's like, as we expected, Miro wins, Fuego del Sol's all upset, Miro rips up the contract, and then fucking out of nowhere, Sammy Guevara comes out, unfucking beknown to Fuego, offers him a contract.
So, like, everyone, Khan knew what he was going to do, and obviously Guevara knew, but apparently Fuego had no idea.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
And I mean, you could tell as well. He was there. He was shaking at one point. He was like crying. He was upset. And for somebody for that moment to happen to somebody on air to be going, okay, you're signed with us now. We're not just booking you every now and again, and eventually we're going to release you. And it's like, no, you're signed to the company. That means something else in a company other than WWE. It means he's actually signed, right? So yeah, massive moment for him. And then obviously, lastly, for Britt Baker to go on as the main event for the first ever Rampage show in her hometown as well. Like, I'm not gonna make out like it was a classic. It wasn't. There was a couple of like hiccups here and there, but by and large, it was all fine. There was a lot of drama created. Red Velvet as a heel, I'm not really sure how I felt about it, but she did some good stuff there. Using Britt's finishing move and stuff like that. The end of the match was interesting. Obviously, Britt won it. Chris Statlander came in out of nowhere, which is a weird move because Britt is the face in her hometown. So Statlander, who's also a face, comes out and starts like beating her up. And then Jamie Hayter makes a save, which would be cool if she hadn't had such a radical transformation to the point where you're like, who is this person?
How different was Jamie Hayter? Like I've not seen her in a long time. She totally changed up her look.
Exactly. So the fans are just like, what? Who's this? And obviously the commentary team were like, is that? So obviously, but for me, I was just like, who the fuck is that? As were the fans. So, but it just had bits of everything, didn't it? It had a title change. It had quality matches. It had surprise drama, fucking people showing up and things like that. So for an hour, to cement themselves as like we're a brand new show. Check us out. I thought it was quality.
Totally agree. So let's talk about the shite, Carl. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've only got one. And that was probably it's not even a major one. It was I suppose, the confusion of the Jericho Wardlow stipulation. So, and I'm sure you're with me on this, but what happened to the special ref?
Right, I'm so confused by this because I'm pretty sure he said, didn't he? He was like, okay, for the final labor, for the fourth labor, it was going to be you're going to be against Wardlow, but I'm going to be the special referee. So I was like,
I thought that as well, and maybe we've both missed something. I don't know, but it was like, yeah. I mean, what was the actual? Or was it just that he was fighting Wardlow? Was there any stipulation at all?
There was no stipulation.
Was it that MJF could be at ringside? What was the?
But even so, right? The problem I had with that is, I tried to overlook it and be like, okay, so he's not the special ref, but maybe he's just like a ringside enforcer. But there's a moment in the match where fucking Aubrey goes, no, you're getting involved, so I'm sending you away from the match. It's like, well, that's the so what is the stipulation? Yeah, what is the stipulation?
It was literally just he has to fight Wardlow, which was a bit kind of limp, really, for the labors we've had up to now. And don't be wrong, Wardlow was badass, and it was going to be a good match, and arguably was a good match. It just, the stipulation ended up being confusing for me, because I was under the same impression that what was the extra bit? It was just a match then.
Yeah.
Sure.
Proper drop the ball with that, I think.
I think
it would have been so much more impactful if MJF was the special ref.
To be honest, if this was an earlier match, this is to close out the labors. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. I suppose it's him versus MJF is going to be the ultimate climax to it, I suppose. But I don't know. It feels like it almost in the wrong place if it was just going to be a straight match between him and Wardlow.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the final shite of the week, and again, it's probably not even a big one, but I heard, obviously, it was announced there was going to be a 4-man announced team for Rampage, but we heard that wouldn't always be the case, and Mark Henry wouldn't always be on commentary, and he might do more of a Mean Gene Okerlund kind of interviewer role backstage. And yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful to Mark Henry, but it just didn't work. For me, you could tell that he wasn't comfortable doing that. Some of the stuff he said, I was kind of like second guessing what it was he meant. He kind of was like, "Oh, so you're the champion. You're the new AEW title. That's the important title." And I was just like, "What?"
Wrestling. We all do wrestling.
And I was like, I kind of found myself getting lost because of the way he was coming across. So if they want to be Mean Gene,
I've never really connected Mark Henry with being a talker or a charismatic person. It's not to say he's not an awesome guy, and definitely a legend in the business. Some of my favorite memories of the reality era was him doing the strongman stuff backstage. And placing bets on it and that. So he definitely got that sort of that sort of banter, I suppose, but I've never really classed him as a talker, so to be in this sort of position is kind of strange for me.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. But yeah, I think that was everything in terms of AEW for this week.
Totally agree. Yeah.
My rating now, I would have given Dynamite a 2.5, but then don't want to do some Scott Steiner math for you right now, but you add Rampage into the mix. And yeah, basically that just brings
back.
Not quite, but to rate the whole AEW of the both shows together out of 5, it's a solid 4, and a lot of that is driven by Rampage. It was an excellent hour of television. Dynamite was still good. It certainly wasn't bad in any means, but Rampage was just a whole different level, and I think that elevates the score to a 4 for me.
No, I'm going to have to agree. I don't even want to fight it on this one. Rampage was absolutely excellent. I really hope they keep up with the steam they've built up. So I'm going to go with the 4 as well.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
And to round off this week in wrestling, we'll just touch on the other promotions. So firstly, what I want to talk about, did you know 71-year-old Jerry the King Lawler is still wrestling? And he was at WrestleFest 25 this past week, taking on Enzo, formerly Enzo Amore, of course, from WWE, in none other than a casket match. So just a fucking shout out to Jerry the King Lawler at 71
Jesus
for
Christ.
participating in such a thing. And he won it as well. So there you go. Big up to Jerry the King Lawler. But I just thought that was just something, no fantasy booker ever would have gone, okay, 2021, I'm going to predict Jerry Lawler versus Enzo Amore in a casket match. Fuck it. What
Honestly,
is this life?
That would feel strange, like putting it on like a creative WWE game, and like, well, I've got Jerry Lawler there, and I've got Enzo. I might as well put it. It just wouldn't feel right there. So the fact they've done it in real life's insane.
Exactly. So fair play.
Well, fair play to him. Fair play to him. We're seeing all the OGs coming back. Crazy. So next one for me, Carl, from the other worlds of wrestling is Brian Myers has won the Impact Battle Royal to determine the number one contender. Obviously, we now know that the title holder is Christian. So interesting.
That will be an interesting matchup, I think. Again, not one I don't think we've ever seen before, and a surprising. Obviously, based on the people who were in that Battle Royal as well, for Brian Myers to come out. Obviously, he's a much bigger player in Impact than he ever was in WWE, but still a bit of a surprise.
Because even that, it suggests they're going to put a bit of stock into him, so it'd be interesting to see where they go. Yeah,
definitely. So fair play. Well done to Brian Myers. The next one to talk about, another shock in the wrestling world this week, and the AAA Triple Mania. Kenny Omega was defending his AAA title against Andrade El Idolo, and who would make a random appearance out of fucking nowhere? None other than the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair, which was mental. So, for anyone who doesn't know this, Ric Flair has worked every territory, every company pretty much going, never worked Mexico, and here he is. So, bucket list, taking it off.
Of course, due to copyright issue with WWE, he's not allowed to say woo. He had to say wee. No, it's fine. It's close enough.
Terrible joke.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, holy shit, I never expected that. And it's interesting the fact that he is, getting involved with Andrade as well. Like, do we think that we could end up seeing him in AEW in that role? They've obviously put Chavo in that role currently, and quite recently.
I'll be honest,
so
like Andrade's getting that many different managers. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Gonna have to try out. We're gonna have Vicky Guerrero, Chavo, and Rick representing them. It's gonna be so strange.
Exactly. But yeah,
it makes you wonder. Not that WWE is a vengeful company, and obviously they don't see AEW as any sort of competition at all, Carl. However, no, nothing like that. But it makes you wonder, like, would they even be vindictive enough to do anything to Charlotte's career with Rick clearly not giving a shit?
Who knows?
Especially, I don't think they'd be too asked about Triple Mania, but if he starts rocking up on AEW, they may take a bit of a front to that, mightn't they?
I mean, it wouldn't take much to get them to, take offense to anything, but at the same time, they literally push Charlotte down everyone's throats so much.
What really concerns me, though, Carl, is we're getting closer and closer to it not being out of the realms of possibility that Charlotte could end up in AEW someday, which means that she will have been literally fucking everywhere, and I don't want it.
I know. Yeah, God, me neither. Yeah, me neither.
So last one for the independents, Carl, was the NWA. It's the finals of the championship series. Team Pope and Velvet. I need to start learning these names a bit better. They were the winners anyway. Yeah, so sorry. We see the winners: Pope, Sky, Trevor Murdoch, Genocide, Jack Steen, and the Masked Man, and Colby getting title shots. So there's a little interesting one coming out of NWA.
Yeah, it was indeed. It's a nice little format, that, I think. Obviously, it's a very different take on a kind of tournament bracket series, to the point where you've got these kind of, it's almost like a team tournaments, to the point where the winning team, all their members go on to get title shots, which I wasn't even aware that was the format myself when I started tuning into it a couple of weeks ago.
I'll be honest, I like that they're trying to do something different. I mean, we all like a good tournament bracket anyway, but like I like that they're doing something different there because you just wouldn't expect it. It's a kind of a mad thing to come out with, but it makes for a good mix of different matchups happening after the fact on it. So
No,
it just I like it. I like the idea.
Me too. But yeah, Anthony, that was this week in wrestling, and what a week it was. Obviously, next week's going to be the final week on the road to SummerSlam, and yeah, obviously a very interesting one with Rampage, the first dance, and the speculation around that as well. So yeah, hopefully join us next week where we'll be talking about some interesting stuff, we hope. But until then, listen to this noise.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.